All right, it's episode 21. We've got a hard stop today. Dave's got to go to a dentist to get his filthy mouth cleaned out.
Punk fucking rock. Merry Christmas, bitches.
Yeah,
he's getting a grill put in. A lot of gold.
Yeah,
and it just says Ron on the front. So good. Merry Christmas, Ron.
Merry Christmas.
Hey, I got to tell you guys, I was looking at the pod here. We're up to 68 countries. People have listened to this podcast in, which
how many
really is just
there?
I think it's just me, Ron, and Dave traveling to different countries and hitting some downloads as we go. But 68, and in the U.S., we got 46 out of 50 states. Australia's doing okay, but the Northern Territory, we're going to need somebody to set up a Starlink or something up there.
I'm going close to there this week, but not quite north enough to cross the border. See what
you can do.
Yep.
Yeah. 60.
So it's no wonder Fat Mike supports us. It's a pretty big fucking deal.
Big fucking
podcast.
Big deal. Big deal.
We got t-shirts, we got merch. Fuck Safety Make Money is on there. Awesome. All the metrics are pointing toward success.
That's what I like to hear. Onward.
Dave, who's behind you?
You guessed it. In the pre-show, Ben, went back
in the green room.
In the green room. Well, I just thought since this is such an agricultural podcast, I thought just on the one occasion that we do spend 30 seconds prepping, I just thought I'd make sure I let the world know how invested we are in this podcast. Yeah. I went back to Dropkick Murphys. I think it's about time that someone got hurt again on the podcast. It's been a bit of a while since the.
We'll see if we can hurt feelings anyway.
Yeah,
we'll get there.
Which is also true to Dropkick Murphys show.
Yeah. How about you
guys are fucking stupid. Love those guys. I've got Sheer Terror behind me. I thought it was time to get some hardcore in there. Really, I just felt bad because Ron's always showing us some pretty gnarly bands, and Sheer Terror it's like a little bit of Scandinavian hardcore mixed with regular old punk. So you just don't know what's going to happen. But they got back together, I don't know, 20 years ago or so, which tells you something. And put out a couple records. Pretty killer. Check it out.
Pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah. It's a good show to get heard at, too.
Listen to that playlist you sent me.
Yeah, I sent Rod a playlist, and he said he was too busy because he was on an airplane. And everybody knows you can't listen to music on airplanes. Interferes with the navigation equipment.
Yeah, that's what I was told.
Cool.
This is why I don't trust pilots.
I wouldn't.
Oh, jeez. Started offending people early.
So I have basically a bunch of guys who decided they really liked the Ramones and created a whole band based on them called the Huntingtons. But they're a punk band that they did release a Christmas song that I fucking love called "It's Always Christmas at My House." It's basically National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation put to music. So
sweet.
Yeah. Dropkick Murphys have a Christmas song too.
Yeah.
Dude,
yeah.
Had Religion as a whole album, huh?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Christmas album.
Absolutely.
Last Gang.
The Vandals have Oi to the World.
Yes.
Which is great.
Fucking amazing. So good. We picked the wrong things to put in the background because I think 21 comes out on Christmas.
Yeah. That's why
it'll be close.
That's why I'm wearing the Christmas shirt, bitches.
Oh wow. Look at that unicorn.
Sweater. Santa Claus riding a unicorn. Fucking hell.
Yeah. You're welcome, world.
Yeah.
Boys, what are we I think Dave's got the idea.
Yeah, what are we talking about, David?
And we did have 30 seconds of prep.
Yeah, my turn.
11 of which went to this.
To think of a topic. And I think so we're going to talk about CEOs today, chief executives, maybe a little bit about executive teams, maybe a little bit about boards. But we made some commentary around a certain door manufacturer on this podcast, and we thought, we made some comments about, do we want a CEO who's going around checking doors, and an engineer, or do we want a CEO to do CEO shit? So I think today's the day, Ben. You can talk about what shit CEOs should be doing for safety, I guess, and maybe other stuff in.
Is that what I say CEO shit? Probably.
I think
do some leadership.
Some comment about I don't want a CEO going around checking doors. I want a CEO to be doing CEO shit.
Yeah, well, I do. Yeah, and this is probably timely. CEOs have made the news, at least in the U.S., probably beyond.
Why? What happened?
A little bit lately. There was a CEO who was shot quite publicly and killed, which is not a good thing, I should say, just so our podcast isn't accused of being
pro murder
assholes. Yeah.
We're generally not pro murder.
Generally not pro murder. But I think the thing that strikes me, right, is it's okay to also to hold those two thoughts in your head. And there are a lot of people who haven't maybe had a lot of empathy, mustered a lot of empathy for that. And that's true for a lot of organizations. I think, CEOs doing CEO shit very, very rarely get. I think, Dave, you called it, grace for senior leaders sometimes, right? And we talked a little bit about in 20, I think, just because leaders are good, just because they're smart, doesn't mean they're smart at all the things. And safety maybe is one of those two things. So what is the leadership shit? What do we want them doing?
Yeah.
Shut up in color.
Shut up in color.
Stay in your fucking room.
I'm trying to hold back and let Ron get fired.
To make it 21
what do I
episodes,
want a CEO to do?
I gotta say, Ron, this is beyond all hope, man. We thought you were done probably 4 episodes.
I made it 21.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
We should call somebody. Speaking of somebody not doing CEO shit, honestly, get rid of this guy.
What this CEO to do? Well, apparently they don't listen to this fucking podcast. Otherwise, I wouldn't work there anymore.
Yeah.
I think so. First of all, the other thing that just pops in my head is I think it's worth noting how fucking difficult of a position it is to be, whether it's CEO or whatever the title is, but the top of the organization, right? Like that's a tough position to be in. Like we talk a lot about, we had a whole episode on trade-offs and stuff like that. Like that's where all the trade-offs like converge. Like, right? You have to be able to balance all kinds of competing goals to set direction for the organization. And you're fucking blamed if everything goes wrong.
Or anything goes. Like something is always wrong according to someone, and it's always your fault.
Well, because by definition, you're making trade-offs, right? So by definition, you are.
Ron's hand is floating. God, that was cool. If you're not watching the YouTube, you're missing out on these things. Because Ron's sweater is glorious. Sorry.
But like you're in a shitty position where like you're always going to piss someone off, because you have to make trade-offs, because you're going to let someone down who thinks you should have invested more in B than X or B or than A, whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
and uncertainty. You're in the middle of all this uncertainty, and for all the talk about, even if the safety folks aren't walking around and people are understanding this idea of hindsight really skewing things, I think we all sort of throw it out the window when we get pitchforks and start chasing leaders around. It's like hindsight is the best at that point. Like, you know what I love, man? Hindsight and torches.
Yeah,
we should get all those things.
Pitchforks.
Just a bunch of pitchforks, like in case of CEO fuck up, break glass.
Break glass, blame. Yeah.
Yeah, blame the shit out of that
Blame
guy.
fixes nothing. I'll tell you what it fixes.
It fixes my fucking
This
CEO.
pitchfork is looking great.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you boys are using pitchforks to fight tyranny.
Yeah, we got
hold my beer.
Look,
apparently
I
they're
think
using other stuff on CEOs these days, but that's
oh,
that
they caught the guy here in Philly or Pennsylvania or somewhere.
yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Shout out to the
Yeah.
McDonald's worker who put in the tip off.
Was it a
Man.
McDonald's worker that put in?
Apparently this guy turns up. I don't know whether he's paying for his Big Mac, and he pulls out a gun and a silencer and a whole bunch of fake IDs. And this is a bit strange.
Where's my wallet?
Strange.
Oh, did I leave it next to my fucking silencer?
So anyway, yeah,
Oh,
just
no.
just
Okay.
heard this morning. Anyway, I think the trade-offs point is good because I think and damned if you do and damned if you don't, right? Like there's that many stakeholders that want different things from you, from investors to regulators to share to communities to employees, and kind of like I think to your point, Ben, there's always going to be someone pissed off with you. And no one's coming around high-fiving you for all the stuff that's going well in the business. Like they're just expecting that. So
yeah. If it's good, you're lucky. If it's bad, it's 100% a decision you made.
So yeah, I guess it's a tough role. But I think there's a lot that CEOs can do to make their organizations safer than they are that, that some probably aren't spending enough time thinking about and doing stuff.
I do think and some of this is safety people, there's sort of shared responsibility, right? We talked about that. What sort of Dave, you talked about dialogue before, right? This sort of ongoing dialogue with senior leadership and the safety folks. And I think some of that has to come from both sides. The CEOs or other senior leaders have to push that and ask those curious questions. But we also have to give them enough background to know what to even be curious about. And that sort of managing up, I think, is what starts that. I think CEOs typically are pretty curious people. It's really tough to get to that position if you aren't. And they like learning and they like understanding things. But safety's black box shit, because if your whole career has been looking at regulators' forms and all the audit paperwork that I generated for you, you sort of expect what you've seen in the last 30 years of your career. And so I do think it's about, just cracking the door open a little bit, showing these folks, hey, look, this is actually kind of cool. And they're pretty good at taking it from there.
Yeah. Well, I think to that point, like a lot of times we complain about safety people complain about CEOs not doing shit, making bad decisions, and like, taking risk and all that kind of stuff. But like, if you look at the information we're giving them, a lot of it is inherently dehumanizing, right? You take all the humanity out of it and you just present them some numbers. And yeah, maybe that's what they're asking for. But to your point, they don't know what else to ask for. They don't know what other possibilities there are. They're just going off of what they think is what you do. They're just doing what they always do. And that's what we're doing too. And that's going to keep happening until someone breaks the fucking cycle. Which is not easy.
If we think you mentioned their bad decisions, Ron, I think decision making is an important thing to think about in relation to safety. And I think one of the challenges that CEOs face is that everything gets compartmentalized for them. They're like, now I'm having a strategy conversation. Now I'm having a HR conversation. Now I'm having a safety conversation. Now I'm, having a finance conversation. And the challenge for CEOs is like to think, systems thinking, to think systemically about their business, right? And one of the things that I think CEOs need to carry is, what are the safety implications of any of these decisions that I'm potentially making? Because I think that just doesn't automatically register. Like, oh, geez, we need to save some money. We're going to cut 10% of the budgets. Let's go cut 10% of the budgets. Or we need to hire a new leader into this part of the business. Let's go and find a new leader. And there's a lot of pressure on this business. And it's like, oh, geez, there's two opportunities to think about what are the safety implications of cutting this 10% and what are the safety implications of this leadership hire that I'm just about to do? And I think one of the things that a safety person and with their CEOs need to do is to help them understand the safety implications of different types of decisions. Because I don't think any of them are knowingly significantly trying to trade off against safety. I think there's a lot of accidental trade-offs against
safety.
Make
money is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if your CEO is someone who just goes, fuck safety, make money, or maybe one quite prominent CEO, fuck external affairs, make money, or lose money in that case. Company formerly known as. Anyway, so yeah, so I think helping CEOs understand, how safety potentially gets created and compromised by other decisions that they're making that they may not be thinking as safety decisions.
Yeah. And I think if we go back to sort of what CEOs can do, for all the CEOs who are listening, and I'm going to say out of 68 countries, it's 0. Might be, maybe 1 or 2. For all the CEOs who are listening, or the folks who are playing this for their CEO,
They don't listen. They're all in our. So
that's, I think CEOs they're sort of inclined to do system thinking without maybe explicitly knowing that's what they're doing. And the way that they're thinking isn't always apparent to the folks that work for them. So I think some of it as a CEO is kind of putting your thinking out in the open, or maybe talking through how that thinking looks so other people can see it. It's maybe that shared mental model that we talk about sometimes in non-technical or human factors. It's tough when you're not the CEO and you don't have all those inputs to understand what's swimming around in somebody's noggin. So I think, yeah, there's some of that ability.
I think the systems thinking that's going on, though, I guess my perspective, Ben, is I think CEOs are thinking systemically about profit, growth, productivity, and these core drivers of business. But I don't see CEOs thinking systemically about safety. So they can explain the implications of decisions in relation to profit, cost, and growth and productivity of schedule and these things. But I think your point about showing you're working, showing your long division working,
Right.
work with one team to sort of say, you should as a leader be able to talk about how you've considered safety in all your leadership decisions. So to say, look, we're just about to restructure this organization, and this is how we've considered safety as we've been thinking through this restructure. Tell us if you think we've missed something. Tell us if you think we've missed something. And so that organization is going, all leaders at all levels, when asked, or preferably not when asked, preferably they offer it up, explain the safety implications of all their leadership decisions. Or how, not implications, explain how they've considered safety in all their leadership decisions.
And if you're showing your work, and I think we should just call it that from now on, and you don't hear someone talking about safety and consideration of that, that's useful in and of itself, right? Because now hold up, man, this is my chance to kind of re-enter that conversation with folks and go, okay. Because otherwise we tend to think, well, they considered it and they said, fuck safety, make money. And if you can hear in that process that it hasn't even been considered, I mean, it's just a blind spot more than likely. There are I think people just ignoring it.
That's been bounded around as the BP Texas City contributing factor, or even root cause. This idea that BP executive cut.
Dave's making air quotes, by the way, if you're not seeing the video. And those are important.
Root cause. Yeah, sorry. That's why I get into rep as a behavioral guy, or a zero guy or something.
Lover of zero.
Lover of zero.
Shout out to our loyal first
Rob.
reviewer.
Got it. We're doing some of Rob's blogging for him.
Don't get me started. But this idea that we need to cut maintenance and operating budgets by 30%, right? And that's been sort of like held as one of the causes for Texas City. But in hindsight, the CEO goes, but we would never have expected people to cut any kind of safety critical maintenance or investment. And it's like, but did you say that? Well, not in so many words, but there's an implied expectation that you would not achieve it.
Yeah.
You would not chase a 30% cost target just to and compromise safety. Yeah, but did you incentivize the cost target? Well, yeah, kind of. And so, I think in that it's got to be more than just a implied assumption that people won't compromise safety to do this shit, right?
Well, and I think to that end, what you're doing there is that you're just kicking the trade-off down the hill that people will then have to make, right? Like it's, the trade-off you're talking about is between obviously safety and cost, but you could think of other trade-offs that CEOs would have to deal with, and then they force people throughout, distributed throughout the system to make that trade-off for themselves in the conditions of the pressures that they have created, and then they get surprised when sometimes those decisions are poor. Like that doesn't make sense. Either you need to, hey, can we make this trade-off at the appropriate level, or can we mitigate some of the pressures on the people who are making those decisions so that it's easier for them to make better choices, better decisions. And to your point, I think they just take it for granted, right? Good.
Yeah.
And I think safety people are guilty of this too, that we take it for granted that how we're thinking about the problem is shared. Everybody knows it. And so it's obvious what the decision should be, or what, the constraints on the decision should be. And that's just generally not the case.
I still see a bunch of CEOs that are doing two things and two things only for safety, right? They're just trying to include a safety first or a take care message in all of their bland comms. So this time of year at Christmas, you probably got a message from your CEO saying, have a good break. You've worked really hard this year, recharge, be safe over Christmas. If you're driving, plan your trip and don't drink and drive. And so incorporating these really generic safety sort of platitudes in company messaging. And the second thing they're doing is just paying attention to how many incidents happen. Reviewing specific details of major incidents and reviewing safety incident performance reports on a monthly basis. And, talk to your CEO. Is that what your CEO is doing? If your CEO is just sprouting, if your CEO is just sprouting safety shit and counting incidents, like, give him a bit of a kick in the ass.
Yeah.
It's not even a kick in the ass. I don't
know any CEO that is like that at all.
But it's not. But the safety. Yeah. Right. All right. I tried to.
I know.
That was like a little okay. Middle away over right field.
Do you know what I'm literally going to do after this? I gotta write. I gotta insert incident information into a slide deck that is going to the board
into the year end.
100%. That is real talk. That is what I'm.
But some of that, like Ron, you said, this was like episode 4. I don't know. Shortly after you said that your job was not necessary in the world, safety people aren't useful.
Still getting paid.
You haven't fired me.
Yeah, but there was another thing that you said, and I think actually a couple people listened to it back then, which was, look, man, if you got to give injury numbers or incident, just fucking give them and move on and add to that a bit. And I think some of that is, we're talking about what CEOs can do, but CEOs will do a lot of shit if you give them the tools to operationalize things, the tools to have a smart discussion. No CEO in the world wants to be unprepared in front of a board. When other people start asking questions any more than the rest of us. And so being able to have some of that depth, especially if the number isn't exactly where somebody wants it, you go, right. Yeah. Let me tell you a little bit about what we're doing here. This number is not the thing. It is a thing. I understand it's important. Here's some of the other things that we think about when we talk about safety. This is what my safety team and I discuss. And I think that's cool to be able to tell a story instead of just a dashboard.
Yeah. And boards are a bit different, I think, because boards, you just do whatever the fuck they want, right? And the whole objective of interactions with the board is to keep them at a distance from meddling in the operations of the business, right? So
we can almost guarantee there are no board members listening
Oh yeah,
for
no,
this
no question.
podcast.
But I mean, but that's management's point, right? Management's point is to make the board feel like management are in control, so the board don't feel the need to manage the business, right? And so that's one stake. I think that's a different stakeholder. I think your CEO, you can give your CEO a bit of a kick, and speak a bit more openly and directly to your CEO. And I think one of the things you can do as a safety person is just one of the things that worked for me a little bit is ask your CEO, don't just come in and deliver the safety stats for 15 or 20 minutes of the executive meeting and leave. Ask your CEO is I want to sit in through the whole meeting and I want to help you understand, the safety implications of all of the discussions that you have throughout the day or the 2-day workshop. Because I think they need help to see the connections between different aspects of the business and safety, right? And if you can start to show them and point them out and ask questions and make those connections, I think they'll very quickly, to your point, Ben, that they're not on the most part, they're not idiots. They'll start to see those
and they are curious, right?
And it'll make them more curious, right? If you start helping point out some of these the connectedness of some of these business decisions to safety, they'll go, oh fuck, gee, I thought safety was a bit more straightforward than that. I thought the safety management system took care of that stuff,
Yep. I mean, they don't want to make bad decisions. And a lot of times, it's easy to see in retrospect where they, coulda, woulda, shoulda, but like helping, I guess the main thing is like, we can't expect them to just figure this out on their own. Sometimes like we're waiting for the CEOs to come and solve all of our problems for us. But like, I'm sorry, it's just not realistic. Like at the end of the day, they're human beings trying to do the best they can in a complex system. They're naturally going to be pulled in directions that, we think are bad. And so we have to support them, and we support them by, to your point, Dave, like helping to manage the information environment, right? The idea is if you give people good information, right information delivered in the right way, at the right time, format, all that, they will on average make good decisions. Right? That's, that's
on
the
average.
On average.
You put me in front of some triple expanding foam and there's no.
Yeah, but you're not a CEO. Oh, you are a CEO, I guess, Ben. So
sort of made up, isn't
so
it?
much.
But I think, Ron, to your point, and sorry if this shatters your little unicorn fueled Christmas bubble that you're living in. But your CEO's not lying awake going, oh, gee, I wonder how I could make Ron's life a little bit better or easier. And I don't even think
know.
I think without in the absence
I'm fucking aware of that.
In the absence of safety incidents happening in the business, right? If you on any given week, in the absence of safety incidents in the business, your CEO spends no more than 5 fucking seconds thinking about safety in the absence of safety incidents, right? And
true fucking story.
Yeah. No, it's
just fucking not on the radar. It's not on the radar. It's managed by exception. Absolutely. If no one's getting hurt, or there's no bad shit happening, or no one's asking me questions, then fucking I got to run the business.
This is the takeaway, right? This is the soundbite for the thing, Dave. I hate to give you the win on this, but that's it, right? The CEO, on average, unless something's on fire, is not sitting around thinking about safety. It's brush fire management, man, or management by exception, if you want to call it that, right? Scary shit happens. You go, fuck, we better look busy, right? And we run around and do a whole lot of things and pay very, very close attention to it. And that is, I have to keep coming back to, it's not because the CEO is an asshole. It's just that they are also not sitting around thinking about, I wonder what the HR team's doing today.
Yeah.
They're not doing that either. And we don't think they're assholes because they're not dreaming about HR.
And I think that's a point of sort of delegated responsibility, right? Like, CEOs goes, it's like managing safety is not my job. There's operations people who manage safety, and it's their job to get that shit right. It's my job to, like said, my job to do the CEO shit. It's like, well, yeah, but you can do a bunch of stuff to help your people be set up more for success than what you might be doing, rather than making their life and decisions a little bit harder, like you said, Ron, like kicking those tough trade-offs, like down the organization.
And I think
that's what Ron got for Christmas. Here's more trade-offs.
Given all year long.
Please enjoy.
But no, 100%. And I think we, on accident, maybe unintentionally, definitely unintentionally, I would say, encourage that by creating this. Like, oftentimes when we're asked, like, what do you want the CEO to do? I want them to model safety. And so that's what they do. They send that fucking little email with the be safe, or they come out, like, if there's an incident, I'm going to be strong and like hold a site-wide, or company-wide stand down.
Fucking stand down.
Yeah. Oh, it's Dave's favorite. He's the lover of Zero, and I'll tell you what, maybe a super lover.
Yeah.
I
mean,
there are 70s movies about Dave's relationship with stand-downs.
Do you have and restart plans after Christmas? Everyone seems at the moment to be developing restart plans for coming back. Yeah, look at Ron nodding. How's your restart plan going?
Fucking we got to have a stand down before and after every holiday.
And you get everyone to stand in a circle and hold hands and go, get your head in the game, team. Yeah. We're back at work now. I think,
much as I love
fireworks away,
we should get sort of like a Barry White style song made about restart plans and stand downs.
Zero and
girl, I love your stand down.
What Barry White song? We should be Ron's meant to be writing our band songs.
They're punk songs, man. That'll take like 3 seconds.
Unless you're Green Day.
Yeah, these don't take any time at all.
You make 12-minute songs.
No, like
even NOFX had an 18. What is decline? The decline's like
18 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah.
That makes up for every other song being under 2 minutes.
Well set up though for the final song during the field trip.
Perfect.
Gave Fletcher plenty of time to work his way through a few guitars
to get amped up. And before the decline, they played, what was it? I'm So Sorry, Tony, with Tony Sly's daughters on stage, which was rad.
Yeah.
And that's the title of episode 20, by the way. So if you didn't listen, if you've just picked up at episode 21, now you know the title of 20. You can go back and be informed. So there you go.
That.
So CEOs should, I'll tell you what they should do, listen to this podcast.
Yeah, correct.
Be helpful.
Reach out to Ron because he'll be looking for work.
Yeah.
And don't start at episode 1, which is good advice for everybody. Maybe pick it up at 2 or 3 when we start to get our shit. Well, I was going to say together, but
I don't think two helps Ron get any more work.
Yeah.
Maybe 3.
All right.
Yeah.
Maybe
don't start at 2.
Don't start at 2.
Oh fuck.
Or maybe start at 2 because then you can just tuck that safety person salary back into the budget if you're a CEO. Just don't need that anymore.
Yeah. Perfect. Don't need that.
Already adding value by disappearing.
That is though.
I hate to come back to mantra, isn't it?
I hate to come back to our topic here, which is sort of what CEOs could do, but I think it's okay too for CEOs to ask about a little bit about connections to performance of the organization, right? I wouldn't be happy if a CEO said, look, for every fucking thing that you're asking to do as a safety team, I want to see clear ROI calculations. I don't know, maybe if that's exactly fair, but I do think it's okay to add some of that in. I mean, I think there are times and places where you can do that and show that it is, if we're talking about safety as a support role to the organization, like accounting or HR, but probably a bit more operationally connected, let's show the fucking support, right? And I think that's okay to do for CEOs to have that discussion.
Yeah.
Well, if we're going to ask the CEOs to show their work and like how has safety been considered in every leadership decision, it's only fair that we ask the safety people, okay, where's the evidence that we're doing fucking working?
Why'd you ask for this budget? Sounded good.
Back to the evidence, Ron. This is a chance to talk about having your PhD. Is that right?
I was giving you a chance to talk about one of your papers. Come on.
there'll be more time for that.
I think we should get like a rolling chyron. Isn't that what they call that on the bottom of the screen, like news channels have?
Yeah, little.
And just every time that we could reference one of Dave's papers, we just put the citation down there and roll it by.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Click the link in the comments.
It's early morning for Dave, so
if you want to read the paper, yeah, click the link in the comments below.
Like and subscribe.
Like, share, subscribe, smash that like button. But I think a few questions. I think Ron, to your point. So when I talk, do some classes with senior safety folk, I say your CEO, you should be prepared to answer kind of 3 questions from your CEO, and the first is just that basic question: are we safe enough? Like, are we managing the risks in this business to a level that's acceptable or tolerable or appropriate for the risks that we face? And a safety person should be able to give a pretty fucking good answer about where we're at in terms of the risks that we face. Second question a CEO should ask is a question like, what should be our priorities for further risk reduction, right? Like, if we've got a bit more money, a bit more time, a bit more effort, where do you think we should be investing them to make, the next ground and the next progress in relation to safety? And the third thing, I think, to your point, Ben, is, how can we make safety, more additive to the business objectives? Like, how can we are there things that we can do that are going to give us a safety benefit, but also give us maybe a cost to schedule, a growth, production benefit? We're seeing in one industry that I work in now, it's an industry that digs big holes in the ground.
Sure. The hole digging industry actually.
The hole digging industry. Lots of fences need to go up. But the hole digging industry, there's a lot going on in safety, and we're starting to see really core business decisions be actually made on the grounds of safety. Almost more than anything else, particularly contracting decisions about who I'm going to partner with and who I'm going to bring in to do work in my organization. So now with some of those organizations, safety is genuinely a driver of growth. If I can be seen to be doing, hopefully be seen and are doing good things for safety, then I have better chance of growing my business. So that idea of as a safety team, because I think you're right, Ben, as a support function, how can we support, the other business objectives? Because the more that we can do that, the more people are going to, want to support our objectives as well.
I almost think that third question is the one to lead with. So you get the hook in folks a little bit, like just because I think there's so much frustration for senior leaders. And Ron, this is right back to what you said before, is it's easy to assume everyone is thinking the same thing you are. But we're sitting here thinking about safety all the time. The CEO is.
No one's thinking what Ron's thinking.
No.
Whatever do you mean?
One. I wonder what this boundary is doing.
He's got a cover band and a unicorn on his jumper. The fuck is going on?
But your senior leaders, man, have presumably put a lot of thought into the strategic direction of the organization. And if we can connect to that first, that's the hook, right? Is like, okay, cool. This is the stuff I said was important. They've paid enough attention to that to at least try to find a way to support it. Cool, man. Tell me what you got.
Exactly. I think we ask a lot of our leadership to give a shit about what we give a shit about, but we don't spend equal time giving a shit about what they give a shit about.
Wow. It's a lot for one shirt, but I think we can do it.
Yeah. Give a shit about what they give a shit about. And the world will give a shit together.
Oh,
it's almost
we
a
are
chorus.
The world. Can we do?
There's the chorus.
Yeah.
Can we get a super group together? And I mean, it's holiday season. We can get a song.
This is the world will give a shit together.
Yeah.
Give a shit this holiday season.
Give a shit about giving a shit.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a mega hit.
Mega fucking hit.
Excellent.
I love it. But yeah, I mean, we gotta I think I like what you said, Ben, about putting that question first, because I think if we start by showing we're a trustworthy partner, for the business, not just for our own little area, if we're actually thinking about this systemically, we're we're setting the tone. We're showing them, we're even showing them a way forward, like doing safety and business as like a part of business is doable. Here's how to do it. It's,
and we're making that part a little bit easier, right? I mean,
exactly.
And everybody, including your senior leadership, could use something being just a little bit easier in the day. And so if we're just removing some of that friction, I think
and CEOs are looking for, sources of information about their business all the time, right? Like what's going on in the business. So, like Dave Woods, who wrote that Four Eyes paper of a safety organization, talked about being informative. Like if you're someone who's bringing your CEO really useful insights and information about the business, right? And you can do that. You reach out to your CEO and go, look, I'd just love to share a few of my observations with you about what I'm seeing going on across the organization. CEO's going to be fucking great. Come and talk to me. If you say, oh, we've had 3.5 rolled ankles in the last week and things like, you might not get a long meeting with the CEO. But if you bring some sort of observations and insights, they're going to go, gee, that was really helpful and really insightful. I might have more conversations with that person and be a bit more curious. And then, the involved piece as well. You've got to then use that as a lead in to be someone who gets, engaged around business decisions or involved in business decisions. Like if you're a head of safety and your CEO is making these decisions to restructure the business and set budgets and cut costs and appoint new senior leaders and they're not asking for your input into any of those types of business decisions, then they don't see you as, a valuable contributor to steering the organization, right? So you got to find ways to show them that you've got something to contribute to those decisions.
And you can show that even in so Dave, what you said was I think really important. Hey, I've got a few of these things. I think they're really interesting. I'd like to show those to you. Yeah. but you can also sort of show them. I think if you go to somebody, a senior leader, and you say, look, I don't know what you're up to today. I can imagine that this is probably a frustrating decision point for you. I've got something that I think may help that decision be a little bit easier. Could I get 5 minutes? I'd like to just tell you about it. And I think even that approach, when you've got maybe more standoffish leaders who aren't seeing how this can be built in, is just building it into the question, right? It looks to me like you guys, like this takes up a lot of your time. I think I've got something that might help that decision go a little quicker, be right more often. Let me throw it at you. If it's not useful, cool. Let's talk about what is.
I fucking love that, Ben. So that's also a good.
I love that for you.
I love that for you. Because something that CEOs fucking hate upward delegation, right? They hate people who just come up and go, "Oh, I've got a bit of a problem here," and the CEO goes, "Fuck." Now I've got to think through this, and now I've got to come up with the fucking answer. Don't I pay you to, come up with at least a few semi-useful ideas? So I think the way you frame that, Ben,
the amount of times that Dave has heard that in his career, just
what?
Don't I pay you to come up with some semi-useful ideas?
Semi-useful, like at least a starting point. Like, so give me a first draft. But the way you sort of frame that is like I can imagine that that like just going through and like being really constructive and helpful. CEOs tend to want to avoid people who is just problem after problem after problem, and it's like, well, fuck, just do something about it, right?
It's fucking lonely in that executive role. So showing that you've thought even a little bit about what their job might be. Yeah. And I'm not saying you need to send birthday cards all the time, but just saying, boss, listen, this looks like something that you have to spend a lot of time on. They go, fuck, yes. Somebody recognizes that this is not all fun.
Yeah.
I think it's a good way to kind of get your foot in the door and have a discussion.
Yeah. And that I think you said it, Dave, earlier. When you show that you give a shit about what they give a shit about, they start to give more shits about what you give a shit about.
He's had time to refine it, and it didn't get better.
I did not say something. I didn't say something that convoluted and cryptic.
I love it. But no, it's true
The
though.
title.
Like, right?
Title of Ron's memoir.
Yeah. It's a
Well,
really
when
long
it takes you 10 years to
really
write a
long
PhD, you got a lot of time to add extra words into the title, right?
It's actually the acknowledgement.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank all the people that give a shit about what I give a shit about.
Exactly. Yeah, which isn't you guys. So go fuck yourselves.
And there's a break the cycle piece. I always sort of think about, how does this change get initiated if we think, okay, maybe our CEOs need to think a little bit differently or do a little bit differently or be a little bit differently. And it's got to start with the safety people. So assuming that the majority of our listeners in 68 countries, and there's a huge opportunity for someone to be 69 somewhere in the world. But assuming
I'd fucking step this up. Yeah.
I left it there for 55 fucking minutes.
Oh, I know.
But then
who's gonna do it?
Who's going to do it? So, anyway,
Dave's so pleased with himself.
I am pleased with myself. And then
It's a great point, though.
It's a great point. So, if you're a CEO out there in Uzbekistan, this is shaping up to be a good week.
The Uzbek, man. What are you talking about?
A good week for you. I'm just assuming that there's a bit more to worry about in that part of the world at the moment than the Punk Rock Safety Podcast. I think in terms of breaking the cycle, don't expect your CEO to just wake up one morning and start doing different shit in relation to safety.
Just care more.
Yeah, just care more. So if you've got a CEO who you think, maybe my CEO is one of those people who's spending no more than 5 fucking seconds a week thinking about this and counting incidents and spraying be safe messages across the organization, then maybe I shouldn't be so fucking lazy and I should try and break this cycle and go, knock on the door. Hopefully you got a CEO who's got an open door policy so he can just walk straight on in.
Oh yeah.
Take coffee.
Call that
and wear your shirt. Wear your shirt that you bought on the merch store. Don't be so fucking lazy.
Yeah, I reckon even better, the FSMM shirt. And so that's a real icebreaker, right? When the safety guy or girl walks in and the CEO goes, "Oh, that's a nice shirt. What's that one stand for?" You're just like, "Fuck safety, make money." It's like finally a safety person who gets what we're here to do.
Speaks my fucking language.
Finally.
Promoted.
You want to come to the next executive meeting and
yeah.
I keep hyping up the merch store. It's important to let our 6 listeners know this is not a profitable enterprise. I feel like I have to say that all the time. We're just really offsetting the losses a little bit.
Well, I feel that I shouldn't promote it too much, Ben, because I feel like every time someone buys something, it costs you money. So
yeah, exactly.
It's a good hobby, though. You know what?
Cool.
Fuck safety.
He's having fun.
Fuck
Lose
money,
money.
make safety.
Let him have his fun, Dave. You know, it's Christmas.
There's people that gamble and have all sorts of other problems. I just sit here try to put stuff on a merch store.
It's fucking awesome. Is people? This comes out on Christmas, and like, there's gonna be some people who are gonna be like, "Oh shit, I didn't get a present for someone." Fucking merch store, like, that's like.
I do feel a little bad though. This should have been some sort of big Christmas special.
I wore my fucking sweater.
I wore
you guys.
a sweater. We just fucked up.
Yeah, that was on.
I didn't do shit.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Sorry.
You fucking terrible.
Listeners, welcome to our life. Yep, Ron and my
typical.
Yeah. Us picking up Ben's slack.
The crown is heavy, Ron. Yeah, the crown is heavy. No, in fairness, Ben does do all the heavy lifting on the pod.
Yeah, I wear a sweater. That's my heavy lifting.
Ron's here to bring unicorns.
We might.
I mean, we're so close to forming a band, though. How's the bass going, Dave?
Not bad. It's getting there.
That means he hasn't practiced in a few weeks.
I'm almost ready to play real songs.
Look, man, if all you're playing is punk songs,
yeah, it's not hard.
This is fine.
Yeah,
some of them aren't. Yeah, it's Fat Mike looks like he's not doing much, but there's a fair bit going on at times.
Yeah. It comes in just moments and then nothingness.
Yeah,
spurts of excellence. surrounded by
There's our band name.
mediocrity.
Spurts of Excellence.
Oh, look, I think that's the CEO mantra, right? The spurts of safety after incidents.
Yes. Spurts of safety.
Spurts of safety. We need to go on a little safety spurt this week. We had a near miss.
Let's go wade through the blood of injured workers.
We don't have safety moments. We have safety spurts.
Yeah, perfect.
Excellent.
Everyone
Ron's annual review is getting better by the minute here.
Yes.
He's taking this.
I may not get fired.
All right.
I think that should be our. I think that should be the podcast objective for 2025. What do you reckon, Ben? Is we got 26 episodes coming in 20. Well, assuming like fuck, except for my fuck up the other week, we've been pretty disciplined on our cadence for 21 episodes. So, assuming we've got a solid 25 or 26 episodes next year, like I think if we haven't been able to get Ron fired, we haven't done our job right. So
I'll tell you what we need to do is care more. But that you can do that.
You tried harder.
Try a little harder.
We can do that.
Maybe you guys should have an observation program about getting Ron fired.
Weekly standouts until safety commitment improves.
Before and after. Yeah, that would be good.
For this stand down this week, Ron, or the pre-Christmas stand down, can you bring in like your favorite Christmas photo of your family and just so you can talk about, your reason for being safe over the Christmas and the holiday period?
Yeah, I wouldn't be safe if I didn't have that picture of my family. I would have just like murdered myself and other people.
You could get the high-vis vests and the high-vis shirts made with the sewn-on clear laminated pocket, and then
I worked safe.
You can have the photo in your high-vis shirt, and so your work colleagues can come up and use it to engage in a discussion about how much we care about safety. They make those. That could be your next big safety program. Go to your CEO today, Ron, and go, have I got something that I think could help us?
I think I saw.
He's going to get a promotion. We're not getting him fired.
And if
be interested in that.
If your CEO agrees with that, you've got way more fucking work to do than maybe you thought.
Yeah. So if you're the CEO, shit you can do. Don't do things that just make it look like you care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do CEO shit, man.
Perfect.
Sweet. Is that it?
Later.
I think we solved it.
Yeah,
He's got to go to the dentist.
I'm off.